What's up, guys? So in August, late August, early September, I created a VAERS, that's the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System database analysis of their data. So this is straight from the CDC. And these two videos, I created part one and part two. You know, roughly over an hour's worth of content is available on my YouTube, and I'll link that. The way you get to this data is you just go to google.com, right? Anyone can get this data. You type in VAERS data, VAERS data. You click on here, which is the .gov website. So this is the actual hhs.gov website. Scroll to the bottom. We say, I just want to download it. I don't give a shit about your disclaimers. All years data is 450 megabytes, and then just 2021 data. In this video, we're just going to hang out with the 2021 data. And so one of the things I wanted to show you is when you download these files, they come in triplicate per year. So there's the 2021 data downloaded and and then all the years data I've downloaded. Here is all the years, and you can see 1990, 91, 92, 93, all the way. So we'll do another video on that later. But what happens when you download this data is you kind of need to put it all together because it comes in triplicate. You get 3 files per year. You get VAERS Vax, VAERS Symptoms, and VAERS Data. And that's what we have open right now. I have all 3 of these Excels open, and we're going to put this data together and just start playing with it and see what's going on. So this is the VAERS Symptoms sheet, and there are 889,000 total symptoms. And what we need to do is concatenate this data because it is all over the place. So right here is like a number for the symptoms. And so they have like a triage. If you can imagine when a doctor goes to enter in, assuming your doctor goes in to enter in your symptoms, there's probably drop-down menus where they would start labeling all the symptoms this patient is having, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate those together. And the important part here is this is a case ID, so VAERS ID, so a vaccine adverse event reporting ID. So this is a person who had an adverse event reaction. So we're just going to go ahead and concatenate this. So that formula is equal concat, and we're going to say, give me this one, give me that one, because remember, as we go from left to right on this column or this row, it is all one case. Comma that one, comma that one, comma that one. So it's basically what? C through G. Okay, now let's drop it down. Now it's concatenating all of the columns C through G together. There we go. So we're going to have all of this as a searchable column. So we're going to call it concatenate column. So here in a second, we are going to use these 2 columns, the VAERS ID and then its associated symptoms. Now let's go to the other file here. We have the VAERS data, which I believe is the big one. So this has, again, there's the VAERS IDs right there. So let's go ahead and VLOOKUP that into this. So we are going to say equals VLOOKUP. There it is. We want this by these 2. Give me 2 and false. Boom. That is a VLOOKUP and a concatenate formula. If you've never used those, this is how you do that. And so we're going to call this symptoms. Great. Now it has a receive date. It has a state on this VAERS data sheet. So what I want to do now is get rid of that formula. Let's get rid of the formula. We're going to copy paste. So now it's not, this sheet will not be linking to the other sheet. Great. So there's another one we need to look at here. This is the VAERS Vax. And so what I want to do here is I'm going to use the VAERS ID and I want to VLOOKUP into that sheet what vaccine it was, what was the manufacturer, and the lot number, the number of doses, the vax site. Yeah, I just want to put all that in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and VLOOKUP all that. So the way we're going to do that is by adding several little columns here. We're going to insert probably, what is it, 4 columns I think we needed, or 5 columns? We'll do 5. Insert. Insert. Okay, so we're going to do a VLOOKUP. We're going to say, give me this by this other sheet. which is the VAERS VAX sheet. And we want to go all the way to about there. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. But right now we're going to pull in the first one. Okay, we're going to copy that formula. And we're going to drop it right there. There, and there. So that's what? 5, 6. Okay, we got 6. So we're going to go 2. We're going to go 3. We're going to go 4. We're going to go 5. Oh, did I do that right? 4, 5, 6. And then 7. Right, because that was the dose numbers, was column F. All right, so we have all 6 of these datas. We're going to drop them like they're hot. Okay, so here it is. We have VLOOKUP into this file now all of these columns. Yeah, it was these 7 columns of data. All right, so we have saved this file. We have added 7 columns to this by using a VLOOKUP, and the key on the VLOOKUP was the VAERS ID, which is like a patient or a reported case is the way you can think about this, because the name of the VAERS, what that stands for as an acronym, is Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. So each case ID can be understood as an adverse event that was reported. So we have some really good data here. We have years, you know, how old the patient was when this was reported. We got state data. I added the lot numbers, right? Here's all the symptoms. Remember how we can concatenated all of those together so we could have one searchable column. And then we have the vaccine type, whether it was a flu vaccine. We have the vaccine manufacturer, and we have the lot numbers. So here we are in November, and you can see the first cases for COVID, Moderna cases reported were 1-1. So January 1st of 2021 this year, Texas and California, 33-year-old, had symptoms of right side epiglottis swelled and hinder swallowing pictures. And then that's what it says right here. So the symptoms, you know, the symptoms in column B should match the symptoms in column P. All right. What else do we have in this sheet? We have, did they die? Died? I don't know what it's doing here. Maybe not. Let me see. Is there? Did they scrub that data out? Last time I did this, yeah, there's 8,700 data points in there. Let's just add a filter so we can see what those data points are. In the died, it's got yes or blank. So yes, 8,000 people died. Now that is considerably less than last time I ran this data. And the reason why we're doing this is to see what they changed. So if you watch my previous video, I think there was like 27,000 deaths. I could be wrong. The date they died, look at the dates. Like 2014 they died. Well, come on, man. Really? This is supposed to be for 2021 only data. So there's obvious death, there's obvious data stupidness and inconsistencies. And there's like, was there an ER visit involved? And in this column, we have 53 ER visits. We know it's more than that. Were they hospitalized? 40,000 people are hospitalized, but they're not ER? Come on, man. How many days in the hospital? 350,000 entries. And this goes to how many days they were hospitalized. Were they disabled? I guess, was that before or after? I don't know. Did they recover? Yes or no? Unknown. Blanks. Vax. What does this mean? Oh, the date that they were vaccinated. And the onset of the symptoms and the number of days in between, right? So that's 2. And so the dates ranges here from within the first day, you know, like within the first couple hours, to 1 day, 24 hours, 48 hours, all that, all the way down to like 50 days, 100 days. Yeah, come on, that's kind of dumb. Was there a lab involved? And then there was some other stuff here. ER allergies. Did the patient have allergies? What known allergies did they have? So this is some good data all in here that we could all use. We could use all of this data. And so what I'm going to do now is just take this entire sheet and let's make a pivot table. All right, we're going to make a pivot table right now. And one of the things I want to do is go by the vaccine type. The number of IDs. Okay. We need to be count and not sum. All right, here we go. So let's just look at this for the sake of example. Right now, what we have is the vaccine type and the number of cases reported. And it doesn't take, you know, a rocket scientist to see what I'm trying to show you here. Yeah. COVID-19 is the highest one here, right? At 600,000 cases reported in the year of 2021. It's only been 11 months in this year. COVID-19 is the highest number of cases reported. So here's all the other vaccines like flu, diphtheria, you know, HPV, DTaP, flu, hepatitis, HPV, right? Meningitis, right? MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, 600 cases reported this year. Smallpox, Tdap, every single one of the vaccines that's reported. And look at the numbers, right? You know, 3, 36, 89, 500. Flu seems to have a lot of adverse events reported. Same with HPV-9 has a lot of adverse events reported. And VAERS, I don't know what VAERS is, has 10,000. But then there's COVID, right? So that's this data stacked together to give us some information. So there's that. Let's look at it from another perspective here. Now I want to do a searchable column. What I want to do is actually make this a filter, and we're just going to do, just give me the COVID. There we go, boom. Now this is going to be COVID cases only. I want to do the manufacturer. Okay, here we go. So Johnson & Johnson, 58,000 adverse events reported as of November today. Moderna, 295,000. Pfizer, 278,000. An unknown manufacturer. That's interesting. Probably international. Okay, great. Now let's do dose series. So now this is interesting, right? Because you shouldn't be having, this is where the data gets a little wonky. So if we just look at that number, I mean, I don't think anyone has 4 shots. And then there's not available, right? So they didn't know. So from this 633,000, 528,000 are first dose, second dose, third dose. So this would be the booster for the Johnson & Johnson. This would be first dose and second dose of BioNTech and Moderna, then third dose, the boosters of those 2 companies, third dose, right? Fourth dose, fifth dose, that doesn't make sense. That's stupid. Then unknown dose, so 100,000 of those are unknown, which means it's just bad reporting. The data reporting is bad. Now let's look at lot numbers for the manufacturers. This is going to get kind of big. Okay, so we're going to change this table to be a display of a classic pivot table. We're going to get rid of some of these subtotals possibly. I want to zoom out a little bit so we can see more of the data. And let's get rid of these dose series. All right, here we go. So these are the lot numbers of the manufacturer for 2021 of COVID-only vax type. And these lot numbers are rather telling because they will tell you which batch lot number is bad, right? So let's collapse Janssen, and here's Moderna. And I just want to, what I'm looking at, just so you see what I'm looking for, is number one, this lot number looks stupid and bad, right? 1, 2, 3, like there's a lot number 1, 2, 3. Typically when companies, especially manufacturing of FDA regulated materials, they will put like the date, the year, the place it was manufactured all into a code, right? So it would be like California, 2021, November the 1st, AM shift, and the ingredients that it came from were set A, B. That's usually how lot numbers look like typically, and they're not all 100% like that. I'm just giving an example. They'll give you the location, the date, the time, and like what ingredients, subcomponents are in there. So like when you see a lot number that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's bad data. That's stupid data. Anyway, so what I'm looking at right now is just like within Moderna for 2021, the COVID vaccine only, like where are the highest number of reported lot numbers that had adverse events reported for Moderna. So they're all onesie twosies. Here we go. These batches seem to have something wrong. There's a bunch there. So if you have this lot number, I would look at that and see if you had any adverse events, because then what we can do is double click on like this lot number in particular. And now with this pivot table and the data, we're able to see all of the adverse events reported, all of the symptoms for this lot number for Moderna. We can do an analysis of what states were there, so we can then repivot this data. When you have like a wall of data like this, it's like, oh, how do I make sense of that, right? It's just like a billion words hitting you all at once. And so when you use pivot tables, as I'm doing here, and this is very basic pivot table shit, you can really start to see these are real lot numbers, as I was saying. See, this is what I was talking about. I would expect real lot numbers to look like this for a FDA regulated product. So like this one right here, 1,200 cases reported. 1,200 cases reported here. These are just the batches, right? And what I would like to see from that is in the concatenated symptoms section is, do we have any no abortions? Do we have myo? No. What about paresthesia? What about heart? Chest discomfort, chest pain. So that was that one we were searching, right? So here we are looking at the vendors, their lot numbers, the total number of cases that are there. And guys, we're only 20 minutes into this video, and we've already seen that Moderna has a lot more adverse events reported. Now, in the CDC world, they have what's called the URF, right? Underreporting factor. And I heard some interviews with some people this last week that the underreporting factor is 41 right now. So this website is saying, why there is not a underreporting factor. So underreporting, just so you know what that means, is, we're talking about 600 COVID only adverse events reported, 600,000. Does your doctor, the doctor who gave you your vaccine right now, did he, when you reported that you had symptoms like, hey doctor, my arm hurts really bad, is that normal? Or hey doctor, I have a really bad headache, or man, I've been really tired, or I have a really bad cough. When you reported that to your doctor, did he file a VAERS report? And it's very easy, right? Like I've read that it takes probably an hour to fill out a VAERS report. But look here, report an adverse event. Did your doctor go to this website and do a report online for every single time? And that's what the underreporting factor is. So patient's name and all this stuff, right? Items. Here's the date of the adverse events. Here's a descriptions, illnesses, chronic, long-standing illnesses. And the answer is no. And so they know that. And as a data analyst, I know that. When I look at data, I'm always thinking to myself, not the term underreported factor, but I would say, like, how much of this is actually relevant and how much of this is just not reported? How much of these instances or these notifications in the world that I work in were just not reported, right? And so that's what the underreported factor here is that I'm trying to explain to you, is that we thought this last year, we thought this whole time, we would say, man, for every one case of an adverse event reported, there's probably 10 cases, right? So if you had 1 million people, 10 million. If you had 100,000, what is that? A billion? 100,000 would be 1 million, right? So that's what we're talking about, URF. And so I heard people who are bigger, better medical data analysts saying that the URF is actually closer to 41. And so what I mean by that, and what I'm trying to tell you, is in reality, if you took this data set, these little numbers right here, and you just multiplied them by 41, those are your actual probably closer to reality numbers. So a total of about 25 million actual adverse events that have gone out there, with only, 1/41th of that being reported, right? So this is what's been reported, and this is what the URF factor extended would be, is what I'm trying to tell you in this little instance, right? So let's go back to the data, if you don't mind. And I just want to look at Pfizer, because we know Pfizer has a lot of stuff going on here. And so one of the things I want to do is add the symptoms. Now, this is probably going to break my computer. I hope it doesn't, but let's just go for it, right? Yeah, let's just do it. All right, I'm not scared. If it breaks, it breaks, right? So after the lot number, let's do it. So this is going to really get spicy. Now, if we expand all, let me get rid of the subtotals. We can search, and my goal for searching this is, now these are all the Johnson & Johnsons, and the way a pivot table works, if you don't know, is look at all these that don't have lot numbers, right? No lot numbers, right? Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of data. Dizziness, chest pain, arthritis, abdominal discomfort. So let's just go with it, man. Let's do this. So we're going to do a search in here, and I want to type in myo. So we have 3,000 cases where myo, so myocardial infarction, see that? Myocardial necrosis marker, myocardial infarction. That's a heart attack, by the way, if you don't know what that word means. Muscular weakness, electromyogram. So maybe I need to refine that to myo car. All right, here we go. So when I just typed in those letters, myocar, 2,000 lines, which I think is a little suspect, because last time I did it, it was way more than that. So they've definitely done something with the data here compared to last time I did this analysis, and that file is on another computer. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do spontaneous abortion is one I looked at last time. So spontaneous, 873 lines here. And they all appear Johnson & Johnson or some Moderna. So spontaneous pregnancy, let's see here. Abortion, spontaneous. Do you see that? So this also is down from the last time I did this analysis in September. There was more spontaneous abortions, I believe. So in my opinion, it feels like they have been massaging this data. And this is where that URF comes into place. Because if you look at the data on Monday and you come back on Friday and look at the data like at a warehouse, right? If you're looking at what are called misloads, like how many times this warehouse sent the wrong package to the wrong zone, and you say Monday they did 47 misloads, then you come back and look at Monday's data on Friday, and now it says 26. That's that leaves a lot of questions. Now, what could happen is that they determined that they were not misloads and it got delivered, so they took it off the list, right? Or it could mean someone went in there and just deleted them, right? And that's what I think is going on here, is it feels like someone's going in here and just deleting the data. So that's myocarditis and abdominal or spontaneous abortion, right, that we looked at. What's another one? How about stroke? So just the word stroke yields 416 results. Full blood count, glycolated hemoglobin, headache, ischemic stroke, muscular disorder, thrombosis, ischemic stroke, scan brain vascular image, ischemic stroke. So this is all of the instances. And what I want to do is create, man, I'm good at Excel, but I'm not the best, just being honest here. And so what I think I need to do is probably get rid of the lot numbers, but I like that. Let me see here, hold on. Yeah, so what if we did, because I want to do it by lot number, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't even matter, because look how many of these don't even have lot numbers, right? Like all of this, none of those have lot numbers. The data just didn't have it. And it makes sense because if it was like 2 weeks ago when I had my issue, I don't know what my lot number is, or if I left my COVID card or something home when I did this, then yeah, there's no lot number there, right? You don't know what the lot number is. See, just remember I told you about the naming convention of a lot number? Those look like real lot numbers right there. Those look real. Whereas a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shit, that looked bad. Like 0, they just put 0 in there. So that was stroke. So now we looked at myocarditis, we looked at stroke, we looked at abortion. Let's look at the word thrombosis. Okay, so here's thrombosis, the number of 4,361 thrombosis cases here. Angiogram, cerebral hemorrhage, that sounds like a stroke. Intensive care. So let's look at it from another perspective. So those are all the symptoms. Now let's do ER visit, right? Or like hospitalized. And I believe, but I also want to do some like ages, right? I want to do some, and sex and ages. So let's do that real quick. Let's just take a quick left turn out of this and let's just jump in here and let's look at, let's drop the lots, let's drop the symptoms, vaccine manufacturer by sex. So the number of cases reported by sex, it looks like female are at 429,000 total cases and males at 181 with 21,000 of people who don't know what they are. Sounds about right. It looks like the most of the female cases came out of Moderna and the most of the male cases came out of Pfizer, BioNTech male, right? See what I'm doing there? Now let's look at another thing. Let's look at age group, right? Age. So we're going to add sex to the bottom here, and we're going to throw down age in years. Okay, so you mean to tell me this person was 8 months old? Come on, that's bullshit data. Look at this. This is all bullshit data, right? All of this is garbage. The number of age years, look at that. That's all garbage because at the time, these vaccines weren't available to people who were, below a certain age group, right? People that are like 11 to 18 years old for Janssen, 1,800. People who are like, 18 to 20, let's say 18 to 35, 14,000. 35, let's go to 45, 9,000 of adverse events. And this is just for Janssen, right? In fact, let's just throw the manufacturer out for just a second. And let's throw that age group bullshit because it's not really doing what we want it to do. Here's all the manufacturers combined in the age groups that are relevant. So 20 to 30s, 78,000 cases reported of adverse events. 30s to 40s, 103,000. 40s to 50s, 105,000. 50 to go to 65, 158,000. 65 up. Look at these 100 people who are 100 something years old. They gave them the vaccine. That's crazy. 65 up, 141,000. So that's an interesting way to look at the data as well. Let's go back over here to adding, I just want to do like symptoms. How many males reported an abortion? Let's just for funsies here. So looks like just to see, how critical the data is, right? 3 males reported an abortion from the vaccine. It's hilarious. It's stupid. It just goes to show you how shitty their data input, their notification system is for this. People misclick or they just, they're just dumb when they do this kind of thing. So I want to do another thing. So minus that manufacturer columns, boom, Moderna, Janssen. All right, so yeah, this is another way to look at the data. What we've done in this instance is we've just kind of, let me make these columns a little shorter because they're kind of too long. What we've done is we've arranged the array in a different way, so it makes a little bit more easy to process mentally for, at least for me, the way my brain thinks. We will drag this down and center it. There we go. Okay. All right. Got everything formatted. We're good. We're happy with how this looks. So let's do some more searching. So back to stroke, right? Here's stroke and the number of cases reported all the way down, right? Now, another way to do this would be to have the manufacturers on top once again, or maybe even after. Yeah. Maybe on top, and then to do the sex. Or actually, you know what would be interesting to see is how, like the report date. Or died. Let's look at died. All right, so let's look at the number of cases reported for COVID 2021, and did they die, yes or no? And so we'll type in abortion. So in this instance, that's blank. Interesting, yeah, because it's yes or blank, right? Yes only, so no one who had an abortion spontaneously after taking his vaccine died. Great. What about myocarditis? So for Johnson & Johnson, let's give it a subtotal. Johnson & Johnson is 37 people who had a myocardial infarction or myocarditis or something like that. Fibrillation, head hemorrhaging injury, myocarditis. 37 of those people died. In Moderna, myocarditis, same situation, COVID, myocarditis, 151. And Pfizer BioNTech, myocarditis, 152. Unknown manufacturer was 1. States with the most number of issues here. Let's just make a bar graph here. Number 1 state is California, with Texas close behind, then blank. What is that, 90,000 were not state identified. California has a lot, which makes sense because they have mandates. It'd be interesting to see California's age range of their vaccine adverse events reported here. Let's actually do that. So here's California with their adverse events, 63,000. Actually, let me see here. I don't believe I have the vaccine type. Let's do a filter for that for COVID. Vaccine manufacturer, boom. There's the states, and now let's do age of the, what is, 4-year-olds? Adverse events? Come on, man. That's really dumb. I would say probably let's start, yeah, because they did 5 to 11 years old in California, right? So a total of, I think line 26 is 11. So there's already been 80 cases of adverse events reported in California, age 5 to 11. And then, of course, from 11 to 20, there's 4,000 cases of adverse events. Let's look at the 5 to 11 ones, though. I just want to, yeah, 5, we'll say 4 to 5. Yeah, all right. I want to see that, but how do I group that together? Well, let's just do the 10. The 10 is 68. Okay, so what are the adverse events that these 5 to 11-year-olds are having here? Product administered to patient of inappropriate age. So listen. These are the 10-year-olds, because there's 68 lines. And how many of those are inappropriate age? And 65. So 65 of the 68 10-year-olds who had an adverse event reported at the inappropriate age. Look at this, no adverse events. product administered. So they've already given the wrong shot to people. And who is this? Okay, so 3 of them are for Moderna. Probably more. Yeah, 3 are Moderna, and the rest are Pfizer. And then there's your lot numbers, the date. Oh, wow, in May. So in May, someone got their 10-year-old inappropriate age. Patient's DOB insisted to not match patient's DOB on ID. 11-year-old patient vaccinated. Okay, sure, whatever, dude. Patient went to a pharmacy offsite clinic at a company to get dose 1 of Pfizer. The parents put patient DOB. So this could be like administrative errors here. I'm trying to find if there's any patient too young for vaccine administered. This is crazy, dude. There's so many ways to slice this data. Really, like, there's so much going on here that, I mean, realistically speaking, I can make weeks of videos just looking at this stuff, right? And I'm just trying to make this a short video, so I'm not trying to go too hardcore. But date, died. Wow. Wow. Let's throw died in here. And let's search for died yes only. So 15-year-olds in California that died. So between what, 15 to 20, they're saying 6 of them died. I bet there was more than that. Honestly, I bet there's, the underreporting factor, 6 by 41, right? The 41 is the underreporting factor. Yeah, I call BS on that. Let's change that. Let's add all the states here. And let's see which states have the highest number of just straight up deaths reported. And let's just add a chart just for the ease of the eyes here. So blank states, like close to 2,000 blank. California has the highest amount of deaths. Second place looks like it's going to be Florida. Kentucky has a high number of deaths. Texas has a high number of deaths reported. Interesting there, right? Very interesting. What about, not dead, but just a number of total adverse events reported? California is the highest for COVID vaccine. Texas, second highest. And then I just want to really quick for funsies, look at all other vaccines of people that died. No, this isn't death. This is just all adverse events. But let's look at death. Died. Let's add a filter for yes, died. California, again, has the highest, as well as Texas. Texas probably looks like it's higher than California for all other vaccines. I want to do, now let's drop the states out of there. This is death by vaccine. And I want to do type of vax. Wow. Flu has 21 deaths. Unknown has 147. Those are probably COVID. What is Varzos? What the hell is Varzos? I've never even heard of that word. Let's Google it together. Varzos vaccine. What the hell is Varzos? What is a Varzos vaccine? Is that is that a vendor, or is that a type of vaccine? Shingles. Oh, shingles. That's the shingles vaccine? So 39 people, that's more than flu, who took the shingle vaccine. Let's look at the age groups of that real quick. Let's just look at the age groups of that. Okay, so let's go back to, let's filter by type. Let's look at Varzo, because I think mainly old people get that, right? Varzos. Let's throw down some age. Age in years. Yeah. So people in their 60s get that, 39 of them. Now, and they died, by the way. This is died. Wow. What states, right? Let's look at the states. So vax state. Let's drop the age. Of course, unknown state is always the highest. For some reason, it's weird. Like, how do you not know a state? So Kentucky, California, Texas is 2, blank is 18. Those are people that died from VAERS. Now, another one, so one of my family members took the shingles vaccine, and I want to see symptoms because the symptoms that person got after taking that vaccine, I believe, was Bell's palsy. We don't need to have the state on that one. Yeah, I'm working my hard drive in overtime here, memory in overtime. So here we go. So this is just vax type. They did not die. VAERS. All the symptoms. Let's do Bell's. Yeah, there it is. Bell's. Yeah, so 51 people who took the VAERS vaccine got Bell's palsy. Now let's switch that over back to COVID. Actually, let's do all the vaccines, right? And let's do vaccine type over here. And this is all the Bell's palsies, right? Let's go to the bottom of this list and let's just look at the total by vaccine type. So 3,200 people who took COVID vaccine got Bell's palsy. 14 people who took flu. This is this year, by the way, this year only. Unknown 26. VAERS 51. Wow. Bell's palsy and VAERS and COVID's really high, eh? Okay. Let's do GB, right? No, Guillain. How do you spell that? How do I say GuillainBarre? GuillainBarre? How do you spell that? Sorry, I'm not a. Yeah, it's GuillainBarre, right? So Guill. Guill. Here's GuillainBarre, I believe. Okay, here's all the cases of GuillainBarre by vaccine. 555 of them COVID, 43 of them VAERS, 27 of them flu X. Wow. Now what about died? Eh? Let's see if they died. How many people died? Come on, baby, don't do me wrong. 4 of the people who got GuillainBarre died from COVID vaccine. 1 from VAERS, 1 from flu, and 4 or C4 and 1 from flu X. Wow. Very, very troubling data here, guys. So we've looked at Guillain-Barre, we looked at Bell's palsy, we looked at spontaneous abortion, we looked at myocarditis, I think we looked at pericarditis, we looked at stroke, we looked at thrombosis, several, of the major situations here. We looked at age, we looked at California, we looked at Texas, we looked at some of those places. Some of the other vaccines, like what we found out was the shingles vaccine. Shingles is very troubling, to be quite honest. I had no idea it was that many. For some of you who are mulling the idea of taking like a flu vaccine, let's just look at that real quick. Let's do a quick vax type. You know what? We need to probably put vax type up here. Symptoms. How many people died? Yes or no? Because I want to look at one last thing before we call this a day right now is I want to look at flu. So let's do flu. All right, these are all the flu vaccines of people that died. Died, yes, so 2 people died, and the rest did not. So there's 40. Hold on, let me just wipe all these filters out because I question that. Let's just start from scratch here. So we're going to say vax type. All. Flu. These are flu. VAERS ID count. 5,000 of the 800,000 cases were from flu of the adverse events reported. Now let me just verify that over here in the vax type. Let me just clear all my filters here real quick. Yeah, 5,498. So that jives. I think. Get rid of symptoms. Yeah, 5,497. Yeah. Let's throw the symptoms in there. So of that, this many had like symptoms reported, or do I have a filter in there? All right, here we go. Okay, so let's look at people with filters, symptoms all the way, and did they die or not? Well, I want to see age actually. I think age would be important to see. Like, at what age are these people? There's male, female, there's sex for flu only. How many adverse events are reported? Yeah, 3,200 are female, so females seem to have more reports. All right, that was age, sex. Let's do age. It's gonna probably blow up. Yeah, it's thinking really hard. Okay, so all these bullshit ages. 1-year-old flu vaccine. Someone gave their 1-year-old a flu vaccine. Oh my god, that's scary as shit. Let me just go to the bottom of this. Here we go. 0.5-year-old flu vaccine. What? 32 people who were 1-year-old had adverse events. 23 who were 2 years old. 45 who were 3 years old. Let's see the deaths, right? Let's add died as a filter. And then let's filter for deaths. Yeah, it's really screwing over here hard. This is a pretty powerful computer. It's a lot stronger than the other one that I used in the previous video. The previous video was a Microsoft Surface Pro 7, which is a pretty nice computer, but I mean, it doesn't have a lot of horsepower under the hood, comparatively speaking to something like this. This is a NUC that has one of those really cool chips that has its video card on top of the chip. Okay, so patients died. This is flu vaccine only by age. So 66, 56. So it's all onesies across. 74-year-olds die from flu vaccine, 75-year-olds more. So interesting data to see here. And remember, this stuff is underreported and probably just, there's so many of these reports that just don't have probably age and stuff on them that it's just really hard to see that kind of stuff. Like, look how many, so there's, if we clear all the sorts from this data here, you know, we have 600,000 lines. There's more than that. There's 800,000 lines, or 666,000 lines here, yeah. And if we just say how many of these didn't have an age, right? Blanks. $72,000 of those lines don't have an age. So, you know, do the math there. It just goes to show you how inconsistent the reporting of all the system is. So I would say, you know, from just a system health standpoint, that they need to, you know, encourage proper data so that people like us can data analyze more effectively. So that's what I got for this video, guys. I really appreciate your time. We'll take another look at this probably in a couple of days when I think of some other stuff to analyze. All right, guys, rock on.